Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see how Chaucer introduces the monk in his The Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. Come, let's go to the Canterbury Tales. He says, a monk there was a fair for the master. That is, he says there was also a monk in that 29 people pilgrim group, and he says that monk was a extremely fair person, a very handsome person. An outrider means a person who does work, that is a monk who does business outside the monastery. So he's got extra business also. An outrider that loved venery means hunting. And he says a manly man to be in and about able. About is a sort of a place, a religious place, you can even call it a monastery. And he says this person is a manly man and he is really qualified to be in the about. Full many a dainty horse had he in stable, and he had a very fine horses in his stable. So you can understand that he loves hunting and he loves to have good horses. And when he rode, men might his bridle hear, jingling in a whistling wind, also clear, and eke as loud as doth the chapel bell. So here he says that, and when he rode his horses, everyone were able to hear the bridle. Bridle is that rope which you'll tie the horse and you'll hold it. Everyone can hear the bridle jingling in the whistling wind. That is, when the wind is blowing, you can even listen to this bridle sound jingling very clear. And ek as loud as doth the chapel bell. And how means it will be loud, that is the bells tied to the bridle of the horse, they'll be so loud like the chapel bell. There, as this lord was keeper of the cell. So he says, when this particular man, the lord here means a monk, was previously in another monastery, when he was the keeper of the cell, the rule of Saint Maria or of Saint Bennet, that is, he would have been in the monasteries of Saint Maurice or of Saint Benedict. Bennet here is Benedict, because that it was old and some dealt strict. And he says earlier he was in another monastery, but he left there because it was old pattern, that is, they were following the old rules and they were also somewhat strict. This like monk let old things space, and he says this particular monk, he did not like the old things, he let them to pass. This like monk let old things pass and held after the new world the space, and he followed the new world, that is the modern world, that he adapted. He wanted whatever the modern world was having. He yaff not of that text a pulled hen. He didn't, yaff not means he did not care about, he gave not eve to all the text means the rules and regulations. A pulled hen means a plucked hen. He did not give any importance to the rules which were written in the text. That saith that hunters be not holy men. That is, the text will say that if you are hunting, then you are not fit to be a holy man. But this monk does not care even a bit for all those rules. Not that a monk, when he is reachless, is like till a fish that is waterless. At the same time, the text will also say that a monk who is reachless, when people cannot reach or approach the monk, then he is like the fish which is not in the water. That is, he is not fit enough to be in that place. Fish means it has to be only in water. When the fish is out of water, then the fish will die. So in the same way, he says that the text, that is the rules and regulations for a monk, will say that you should be approachable to the people. If you are not, means you are like the fish which is without water. This is to seek a monk out of his cloister. And this is to say that if the person is like this, that is, if he is not following the rules, then he will be sent out of the cloister. Cloister here means monastery. But Tilk text held he not worth an oyster. But all this, what was written in the text, this monk did not give value even like the value we give it to a oyster. Oyster are the seashells. Like how he will not give any importance to a shell which has come out, like the oysters. Usually people will even cook and eat the flesh of these oysters, and like that only he will treat the rules which were laid for the monks by the monastery. And I said his opinion was good, and Chaucer says what he is thinking is good. I agree with him. What should he study and make himself wood? He says, what will he study? See, his way of thinking is different. And if he is going to study all the text which was written for the religious people, he will only make himself crazy. Wood here means crazy. Upon a book in cloister, always to pour. He says that always what is the use of sitting in the monastery and reading books? This is the opinion that the monk has. He thinks that man should not spend his time sitting in the monastery and reading books. Or sunken with his hands and labor. Sunken means working very hard, using his hands means physical hands, and labor. Labor again means working hard. As Austean bit. Austean means Augustine commands. Bit means commands. Like Augustine, the rules laid by the Augustine. How shall the world be served? Like Augustine says, the rules and regulations for the people who are in the monasteries, how they must serve the world. Let Augustine have his sunk to him reserved. He says, let Augustine do all the work which he has reserved. He cannot expect others to do it. Therefore, he was a prisker aright. Here, prisker means a very vigorous person. Aright is a horseman. Therefore, this monk decided to be a very good horseman than to follow the rules laid by Augustine for the people who are in the monastery. Greyhounds he had as swift as fowl in flight. And so this monk had greyhounds which were very fast when they were running like a fowl. They will just fly. Of pricking and of hunting for the hare. Pricking here means tracking. Of pricking and of hunting for the hare. So these greyhounds were very good in hunting hare. Was all his lust. Lust here means the pleasure which the monk enjoyed. For no cost would he spare, and for anything he will not give this pleasure. He was very happy to go for hunting, and he will not give up hunting for any cause. I saw his sleeves purfled at the haunt with grace, and that the finest of a land. And here he says that this Chaucer saw the sleeves of the hand of the monk. They were lined with squirrel fur. Grace means the squirrel's fur, and that also they were the finest furs which were available in the land. And for the feast his hood under his chin. He had of gold he wrought a curious pin. And for to fasten his hood under his chin, he had of gold he brought a curious pin. And to fasten his hood is like a cap which covers your head and your neck. And to fasten means to tie this hood, he had a pin which was made out of gold. A love knot in the greater end there was, and in that hood, in the longer edge, he had a love knot paid. That is, it was knotted in the shape of a heart. His head was bald, that shone as any glass. He says that the monk's head was bald and it was shining like glass. And eke his face as he had been anointed. And also his face was shining as though it was rubbed with oil. Anoint means rubbed with oil. He was a lord, full fat and in good point. And here he says that he was very fat. And in good point means, but he was in very good condition. So he was very fat and he was in good condition. His eyne steep and rolling in his head, that steamed as a furnace of a lead. And his eyes, they were very big. And they were rolling in his head as though they were steaming from a furnace of lead. So they were very, very big and they were gleaming as though, furnace means, it's a fireplace. So his eyes was like that. His boots supple, his horse in great estate. And his boots were supple. Supple means very flexible. very costly boots he was wearing, and his horse was in a very good condition, great estate. His horse was very good also to look at. Now certainly he was a fair prelate. Prelate here means dignitary. So certainly he was a very great person here. He was not pale as a four-pined ghost. He was not looking pale like one ghost. He was very rich, like he was looking very bright. A fat swan loved he best of any roast, and whenever he ate any roast, he preferred a very fat swan to eat. His palfrey was as brown as is a berry. And here palfrey means his the horse in which he was saddled was brown as and it was looking like a berry. That berry color it was looking. And this is the introduction that Chaucer gives to the monk. And if you have anything to add on about this monk, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with others, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.